Well, good morning. Happy Wednesday to you, LEGO fans. It is a Wild Card Wednesday, one of my favorite days, because today we are doing a set review. And, sometimes when you look at old sets, you think to yourself, would this be worth it to review? And the set I'm reviewing today, I really, really enjoyed, and I think it's worth bringing to your attention if maybe you haven't thought about it in some time. I do, however, before I get into that, want to say just always a thank you, whether you are tuning into me on your favorite podcast platform, or maybe you're checking me out on YouTube. You can catch me wherever you find the Imagination Brick Shop. If you do enjoy the content, though, I would love, especially if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to hit that subscribe button. I come to you every Monday with news and rumors, and every Wednesday with a Wild Card Wednesday where I do either set reviews or just some crazy little topic, and then occasionally throw in a speed build set with that as well. But anyway, getting down to it. Thank you again, all my podcast listeners. I just love bringing you a set review. And today is all about the Ideas Set 21319, the Friends Central Perk. And yeah, you could say Friends, kind of a bit of a divisive show in some ways. Some people are like Friends fanatics, right? Usually people in my age range who grew up with it, enjoying it in the, mid to late 90s, a simpler time, and then into the early 20th century. But part of it definitely is dated. Some of the episodes you're just like, oh, that's interesting, watching it here 20 years later. But I will say part of it had a resurgence, and it's part of its resurgence too came in through LEGO Ideas, and they decided to make a Friends LEGO set. And there are few places that are more iconic in the Friends episode than Central Perk. And if you don't know about Friends, Central Perk is basically the coffee shop where all 6 of the friends, Ross and Monica Geller, Chandler Bing, Joey, Phoebe Buffet, and they all get together, they have their coffee, and then basically hilarity ensues. Some of my favorite episodes, the scenes were in Central Perk, especially the one where Ross tries to punch Joey and he ends up punching the pole behind him and breaking his hand, and then Joey punches Ross back. Like, there are some classic Friends episodes that are just really good. But that is also why I love, too, going back to LEGO, why I love LEGO Ideas so much is because, this is an early Ideas set. This is actually, I want to say, the 27th Ideas set. It came out way back 6 years ago, back in September of 2019. And I will say it wasn't the first of its kind, okay? The Trailblazer, and I will say an inferior set to this one, but the one that started it was the Big Bang Theory, okay? And if you want to talk divisive shows, right, with the whole laugh track, one of those last shows that ever used the laugh track, Big Bang Theory, like it or hate it, that was the 10th set ever released through LEGO Ideas, and that was way back in 2015, like when Ideas was still getting its footing, and people were like, oh, you can make an Ideas set about like the show that you absolutely loved, And so Big Bang Theory was this trailblazer. And then the next one up was Friends. And since then, we've got such other iconic shows. We've gotten the Seinfeld set, in The Office most recently with so many minifigs. But I really want to just shine a light on this set. And if you are a Friends fan, which again, there are many of you out there, there's lots to like about this set. And even though it has been retired since December of 2022, this is a set that you can still find for a pretty gosh darn good deal. So I'm going to give you the specs. This is how I break it down. I'm going to talk about the set, give you the specs, give you some history, and then at the end, I give it a set review rating. And in that rating, I rate it on 4 things, okay? Playability, displayability, the build experience, and the value. And that gives me an overall number for the set itself. And that basically it's my way of letting you know, do I think this set is worth your money? So getting into it, like I said, this is set 21319 Central Perk. Came out in September of 2019. It is just over 1,000 pieces. It's 1,070 pieces and came in at the wonderful price of $60. Guys, that's 5.6 cents per piece. That's crazy cheap. So I'm just putting that out there, like, this was 2019, right? Pre-COVID. I guess it was just a simpler time. But at 5.6 cents per piece, a $60 set, you're just like, all right, sure, why not? And even now on the market, if you want to find this set new in box, average price post shipping is probably going to be about $80 to $90. Still a pretty good deal. And in fact, cheaper than what most new sets go for, still under 10 cents per piece. Used? I mean, you can find this set as cheap as $50, maybe $60 still for used. That's like post shipping. What a steal. 5 cents per piece. You got 7 glorious minifigures that are only unique to this set. And you just got something, like I say, that speaks to an iconic show for its time. As I had mentioned, the 7 minifigures, you have the 6th Friends that I already said earlier, right? Each one unique to the set, unique printings. But you also get Gunther. And Gunther is the barista for Cafe Perk. And I do love Gunther. He is the iconic, he's the comedian character where he's always doing his best to pick up on Rachel. He loves himself Rachel Green, and, he knows he's never going to get her, but it doesn't ever stop him from doing anything she wants at any time because he loves her so much. So you got to love Gunther. The actor, I don't remember his name, but God rest his soul. I believe he passed away a few years ago, but I do love the Gunther character, and definitely something that needed to be added to this set. The set build itself, it was 7 bags. It had 5 stickers on it, which at the time, you didn't actually get a lot of idea sets that had a lot of stickers, but 5 stickers, not too bad. In addition to the 5 stickers, though, you have a lot of printed pieces here, a lot of individualized, unique pieces, and the one that is the most impressive of the unique pieces is the glass that says Central Perk. It's a big plastic piece. And I will tell you, if you're a visual person, I will be also putting pictures in there because it's kind of hard. It's kind of a smaller set, so you can't see it super well just from this distance on the video itself. So I will be putting pictures along with me talking about the set. But anyway, the printed piece that says Central Perk on it, it just looks so good. And not only that plastic piece that's got that, I mean, I say it's glass, but it represents the window in Central Perk. You've also got the menu, and the whole menu is a printed piece as well. And there's other, like the printings on each of the minifigs, on Monica, Chandler Bing has his classic blue blazer, which I think is really cute. Like, it's Chandler Bing, right? And then, of course, Phoebe's got her printing, which is her unique, she always wore that little sweater vest thing in her purples, and she's such a weirdo in the show. She's fabulous. And in this set, she comes with her guitar because I'm pretty sure she's going to be singing about Smelly Cat at some point in this. And then everybody's favorite, or love him or hate him, I love Ross. And in this set, you have the people set up at there was a couch, right? There's always a couch, and then there were 2 chairs on either side. And, typically, I think it was usually Joey who took one of the chairs and Chandler who did the other, but then you had a bunch of them spread out on the couch. Well, in this, they set it up too, where they have the couch by the window, where they have Ross and his keyboard set up, because there's an episode, again, you probably, if you know Friends, you've seen it, the one where Ross, he gets back into playing synthesizer music like he did in the 80s. And it's so bad, it's good. I just absolutely love it. So you got Ross Geller, love him or hate him, with his sandwich and his keyboard and doing those things. The other cool part about this set is you can actually pull the central part of Central Perk out and put it on its own separate display. So the couch, the chairs, the big rug that it's on, that actually comes out from the set. So you can actually just pop it out and you can play with it however you want. And in addition to that, you've got the whole barista area too, where Gunther is back there where he can make his, can pass out the scones, make his coffee and things like that, which I think is just really nice. And then there's so many Easter eggs in this set. And I will tell you, I'm not the ultimate Friends fan. It's actually been a while since I've watched a lot of the Friends episodes. But if I had a Friends person on here, I'm sure they could tell you all the craziness. Like, for example, in the back of the building, there is a trash can. And right next to it, it's Joey's picture, I believe, of him where he's Dr. Drake Ramore. And I can't remember what episode it is, but there are little Easter egg nuances to this set all over, which I think is just great. In addition to that, at the front of the set, you've got a couple giant lighting kits. So it tells you that it's not really Central Perk. It really is trying to tell you that this is the setup. This is the set for Central Perk. Like, these giant lighting kits next to it make you go, yes, this is the television show set for Central Perk. And I think that's a clever way to do it. I remember when I first built it, I was like, oh, that kind of like breaks the imagination of it a little bit. But, looking at it now, years on from it, it's kind of really clever. And Crystal Fontaine, I believe Fontaine, she is the set designer, the Ideas set designer of this. And I just think, credit to her and then the LEGO designers as well for like pulling that together and making that conscious effort. I will say, if there is a negative to this set, it's probably that the back of it, the sides of it, behind it, like the actual, like if you're on a set, right, what you see on camera always looks great. But the stuff off camera looks really plain and simple. And this is no different. You've got the back wall that comes out from where it would be like the bathroom entrance, and the walls themselves are pretty terrible. So this is meant to be a set that needs to go on a bookshelf and is only viewed from one or two angles. Because when you view it from the back or the side, it looks and feels very, very incomplete. So I will say that's probably the biggest negative of this set, for sure. A couple other things of consideration when you're looking at a set like this. Friends not only has the Central Perk, so if you haven't been into collecting Lego, you need to know that they actually released a second Friends set a couple years later. I believe in 2021, they released the Friends apartments. So Joey and Chandler's apartment, as well as Ross and Rachel and Monica's apartment. And those are done really well too, with a whole lot of Easter eggs, from canoes to ducks to paintings, Phoebe's painting and all that kind of stuff. So if you are a Friends fan, I highly recommend not only looking into the Central Perk set, but also looking into the Friends apartment set. Now, I will say the biggest negative about that set is that it does not fit on shelving very well, because you've got two awkwardly spaced apartment. And to me, that is one of the benefits of this Central Perk set, is it does display very well on any depth of bookshelf. Like it's only about it's only about 8 inches deep. So you have plenty of room to give it the display, or to pull out the whole central area with the orange couch and the chairs and Joey holding his box of pizza, or, what else we got? Rachel, she's got her tray because Rachel waitressed at the Central Perk for a while. And it was always funny, like, she would just sit there and chat with her friends, and Gunther would come over and be like, are we going to do this? And are we going to like work? And she's like, oh no, Gunther, you go ahead and get it. And he would just take care of it because he was this giant pushover. And Rachel was always a bit self-centered, if you will, for Friends. It wasn't until the later seasons where, I think they humanized her a little bit, right? But I do absolutely love a lot of this set. One other final thing I will say, if you like colorful sets, Central Perk is super colorful. It's got a lot of color schemes in there, especially up behind the bar. They have a lot of the cutlery and the cups and whatnot done in the pearl gold, and that is intermixed with a lot of the sand green countertops and just all the different items on the wall itself. Both the rugs and how the rugs insert into the set itself. You can actually pull out different ones as well. It's not just the main rug. And just like I say, it's very much a nostalgia piece, and I think that's what LEGO Ideas does a really good job of, and why these sets are popular. You see an office set, people are like, oh yeah, I want to get my Dwight minifig, or I want to, or a Seinfeld set like this. People they love to show growing up, or they just have a good, strong feeling towards it. And this is that little, they build it and they laugh as they build it because they remember, oh yeah, here's the pole right here where Ross punched and broke his hand, or when he was running out and trying to meet up with what was it, Monica, and it was someone else. He ends up trying to rob them, and it's the wrong people. Like, again, just a lot of fun things to love. Anyway, I digress. Love me some good old Friends. I kind of feel like I want to watch an episode now, to be honest with you, and like relive it. Was it as funny as I remember, or should I just not watch it because it's not as funny as I remember? Who knows? Anyway, as I wrap up this review, I do always like to, again, rate it on 4 things. That's playability, displayability, the build experience, and the value. And so let's start off with playability. Not much playability here, honestly. It's meant to be a display piece. Sure, you can arrange your minifigs in different configurations, but there's a keyboard by the window. We're not putting Chandler in front of the keyboard. We all know that's Ross's keyboard, right? Just like it's Ross's sandwich, you don't touch his keyboard. And so Gunther, he's the one who's got to go behind the counter to serve up the mochas. And so once you get them placed, you're really not playing with this set. Let's be real. You're setting it up to display. So playability, I'm going to give it a 4. Definitely the lowest of the marks. Displayability, I'm going to give this a 7. I think it's got good displayability features, but it's one of those sets that you really do have to get close up on it to really appreciate all of those Easter eggs. From looking at it from afar, like I say, if you're watching me on YouTube, some of it probably doesn't feel that impressive just because, you can't look at this set from afar and be like, oh, look, I remember this. This is kind of cool. You really got to get up in there, and you got to get just a few inches away to catch all of those little Easter eggs. So for displayability, I'd give this a 7. The build experience itself, very straightforward. There's nothing crazy or silly about this build. The walls themselves actually fairly boring, but the fun part about this build is when you actually get to pull the little minifigs together and display them out in their little areas. So as you put in a different object, you build it and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot this is this is the place where they hang the cups, or this is the umbrella holder, and this is that episode where they were pulling over with the hat. And, as you build each item, it gives you that little nostalgia hit, right? So from that experience, I would give this also a 7.5. We'll give it that little extra 0.5 bump. And then value, I got to give this a 10. This is a 10 out of 10. Like, this is 5.6 cents per piece. This is a 1,000-piece set, over 1,000 pieces for $60. It is a screaming deal. And again, as I said before, if you like this set, it's still a screaming deal. So there are some sets that retire and then immediately go out of reach. This is not one of those sets. So if you haven't given this set another thought in a while, but you are a Friends fan, this is very much still attainable and still a fun set, like I say, to have on display just for the, like I say, the nostalgia purposes of it. So 10 out of 10 for value. They did it. They got one 10 out of 10. But with that, if you're keeping track at home, a 4, 7, 7.5, and 10, that averages to about a 7.1 out of 10. We'll make it an even 7 out of 10 set. Might be slightly generous. If someone were to tell me this is a 6 out of 10 or maybe a 6.5 out of 10, I certainly wouldn't argue with them. But I will say if you are a Friends fan and you liked this show, you enjoyed this show, it gave you those good, warm, fuzzy feelings, you're going to get the same good, warm, fuzzy feelings from building this set. So there you go. Kind of a fun little throwback. We are going to be moving forward. I've got definitely some bigger set reviews that I'm going to be doing, but I just thought, sometimes it's fun just to review a smaller set that just takes you back again to a simpler time. So you let me know what you think. Do you love Friends? Do you hate Friends? Did you love this set? Did you hate this set? Have you never given this set a second thought in your entire life? I'd like to know. But anyway, with that, I appreciate you. I hope you're having a great week. It's Wednesday. We're halfway there, y'all. It is hump day. So I hope you can finish the week strong. And until Monday, when I'm going to come back and talk to you about the latest news and rumors, probably talking more Star Wars, gearing up for those May releases, I'll just have to catch you then on the next one. All right? I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.